Driving down to Richmond, see her castle perched on high, where knights in shining armour once stood in days gone by, and the monks in Eastby Abbey prayed to the water's sound. Now the monks have gone, the river flows on by the abbey's holy ground. So flow, river, flow, wind your gentle way. I love the dale, I love the swale, in Swaledale I will stay. Heading on out westwards, towards the river's source, to the parish church at Brinton, lying close to the river's course. Then a short climb up the hillside to reach Swan's busy green, where the men of the Dales, they made their sails, and the lead miners were seen. So flow, river, flow, wind your gentle way. I love the Dale, I love the swale, in Swaledale I will stay. Helo, Keld and Newker, Low Row and Gunnerside, time can never change them, nor age their beauty hide. And the simple dalesmen's houses lying dotted all around, they are part of the dale, they belong to the swale, to the river they are bound. So flow, river, flow, wind your gentle way. I love the dale, I love the swale, in Swaledale I will stay. I can see her in the springtime, her blossom everywhere. I can see her in the summer and breathe her warm fresh air. I can see her in the autumn when her colours all do change. And when the snow does fall, I can hear her call, her beauty still remains. So flow, river, flow, wind your gentle way. I love the dale, I love the swale, in Swaledale I will stay. So flow, river, flow, wind your gentle way. I love the dale, I love the swale, in Swaledale I will stay. Thomson, raise the sword if you can, pick them up, Potter Thomson, bear them out like a man. Take a chance, Potter Thomson, it may never come again, and no one will believe you when you tell them where you live. One day old Potter Thomson was out walking by the rocks, underneath the Richmond Castle wall, when suddenly, to his surprise, he came upon a cave which seemed to him to beckon with a strange alluring call. So in he went and on he went until he saw a light, and the passage wall became a hole, and there he saw a sight. For before him on a table made of stone he espied a hunting horn and a gleaming sword lying side by side. Blow the horn, Potter Thomson, raise the sword if you can, pick them up, Potter Thomson, bear them out like a man. Take a chance, Potter Thomson, it may never come again, and no one will believe you when you tell them where you've been. Now the horn was made of ivory and rich with shining gold, in a jewel-crusted scabbard lay the sword. But an icy shiver touched him as he looked about the hall, when something else he noticed which just couldn't be ignored. For what he thought were only rocks, when he looked at them again, he saw giant heads in giant beds, they were really giant men, oh, asleep in band of giants, all with broadswords close at hand. And slowly then but surely he began to understand. Blow the horn, Porter Thomson, raise the sword if you can. Pick them up, Porter Thomson, bear them out like a man. Take a chance, Porter Thomson, it may never come again. And no one will believe you when you tell them where you've been. Now as one of the great knights he wore a crown made of gold. He knew it was King Arthur and his men, for he'd often heard it said that there the warriors did sleep, waiting for the call to save old England once again. Well, he had to have some evidence of what he'd seen that day, for what good's truth without the proof, and what would people say? So he tiptoed to the table, put his hand onto the sword, then stumbled back into it when a sleeping giant snored. Blow the horn, Porter Thomson, raise the sword if you can. Pick them up, Porter Thomson, bear them out like a man. Take a chance, Porter Thomson, it may never come again. And no one will believe you when you tell them where you've been. Then in fear and trepidation, lest a giant may have heard, he told himself to calm down and be brave. But just as Porter Thomson was about to touch the horn, the hall began to rumble, and in haste he left the cave. But when he tried to tell his friends, he never was believed. His tragic tale was caused by ale, people all agreed. And since poor old Porter Thomson never took what he had found, the hunting horn and the gleaming sword still lie beneath the ground. Blow the horn, Porter Thomson, raise the sword if you can. Pick them up, Porter Thomson, bear them out like a man. Take a chance, Porter Thomson, it may never come again. And no one will believe you when you tell them where you've been. Blow the horn, Porter Thomson, raise the sword if you can. Pick them up, Porter Thomson, bear them out like a man. Take a chance, Porter Thomson, it may never come again. And no one will believe you when you tell them where you've been. And no one will believe you when you tell them where you've been. Perse, Brackenbury and Willy, Vitty never could see eye to eye. Willy would appear in Richmond Court while Perse passed sentence from on high. Willy was a drunkard, Willy was a rogue, seldom seen in a sober state. Without fail he'd always wind up facing Perse the magistrate. And he drank all day and he drank all night, and he drank so much he looked a sight. When he got too drunk he began to curse, and he landed up again before old Perse. One day Perse ruled that Willy would have to pay his debt to society. He sent him off to Northallerton jail, where Willy took to writing poetry. Willy bore a grudge throughout his sentence, he wrote long screeds all about Perse. When released he carried on drinking and cursing Perse, but now in verse. And he drank all day and he drank all night, and he drank so much he looked a sight. When he got too drunk he began to curse, and he landed up again before old Perse. Perse Brackenbury lived in New Biggin, as Willy Vitty was well aware. He'd often stand outside reciting, made all the young lads stop and stare. Behind his curtains Perse used to hide, while Willy loudly took the stage. When he'd finished, with a gesture Perse would shake his fists in rage. And he drank all day and he drank all night, and he drank so much he looked a sight. When he got too drunk he began to curse, and he landed up again before old Perse. Perse was a tall, commanding figure, always appeared so dignified. When he caught sight of drunken Willy, something seemed to snap inside. Willy used to spend long hours in the stocks, sobering up from a drunken bout. It wasn't long before you'd find him drinking again till his money ran out. And he drank all day and he drank all night, and he drank so much he looked a sight. When he got too drunk he began to curse, and he landed up again before old Perse.
Willy had a decent caring wife, but she couldn't make poor Willy stop. Willy was always stealing her flour to get more money from the pawn shop. His drunken sprees would last a fortnight. First Brackenbury always made it worse. All of Richmond knew the story of drunken Willy and old man Perse.
And he drank all day and he drank all night, and he drank so much he looked a sight. When he got too drunk he began to curse, and he landed up again before old Perse. He drank all day and he drank all night, and he drank so much he looked a sight. When he got too drunk he began to curse, and he landed up again before old Perse. Today a silver chalice reminds us of the tale, and the name of Robert Willance still lives on in the dale. In 1606 in Richmond, Robert Willance once rode out. 'Twas a grey November afternoon, the weather was in doubt, but the wilds of Swaledale called him, as they'd often done before, and he never guessed, as he headed west, what fate had in store. And today the silver chalice reminds us of the tale, and the name of Robert Willance still lives on in the dale. High on the moor he wandered in the rugged dale's terrain, when suddenly the weather changed to mist and driving rain. His horse took fright, and in 3 large bounds had plunged to the scar's steep bank. And what happened then amazed all men, and Robert's spirit sank. And today the silver chalice reminds us of the tale, and the name of Robert Willance still lives on in the dale. Over the edge his horse then leapt, a 212-foot drop, but a boulder flung the rider clear, halfway from the top. And at the foot the horse lay dead, but Robert was alive. And as night came, though in great pain, he determined to survive. And today the silver chalice reminds us of the tale, the name of Robert Willance still lives on in the dale. With a broken leg he slowly crawled up to his horse's side, and he opened up its belly for the warmth it could provide. The next day searchers found him there, and bore him home asleep, and he gave his word to thank the Lord for his death-defying leap. And today the silver chalice reminds us of the tale, the name of Robert Willance still lives on in the dale. In memory of his great escape, his prayers were offered up, and to the city fathers he then gave a silver cup. And he set 3 stones upon the ridge, words for all to read, that men might gaze in later days and wonder at his deed. And today the silver chalice reminds us of the tale, the name of Robert Willance still lives on in the dale. The chalice passes on to every Richmond mare,
and at every banquet in the town the cop is always there. And at the top of Whitcliff's scar 2 stones remain to see. Their words still tell how Willance fell into Swaledale's history. And today's silver chalice reminds us of the tale, and the name of Robert Willance still lives on in the day.
Tetherer, let's drive needles, cast on now, then off we'll go. For a cap or a stocking or a seaman's jersey, we'll be first to the end of the road.
Swaledale knitters are fast and skillful, everyone has learned the art. Whether women or girls or boys or men, we all can knit and play our part. With our belts all fastened round our waist and our knitting sheaves all tucked in place, in a group we sit and begin to knit, with our songs and games and Swaledale wit.
Yan-tan tetherer, let's drive needles, cast on now, then off we'll go. For a cap or a stocking or a seaman's jersey, we'll be first to the end of the road.
A 7-year apprenticeship to learn the trade there used to be. Now the children learn their loops by sitting at their mother's knee. From the village shop we buy our wire, in the evenings we sit by the fire, up and down we sway as we weave away, and sing and strive till the end of the day.
Yan-tan tetherer, let's drive needles, cast on now, then off we'll go. For a cap or a stocking or a seaman's jersey, we'll be first to the end of the road.
6pence for a pair of stockings, 3 halfpence for mittens too. The extra money's always useful, and what you buy depends on you. A bit of baccy for the men, or a special gift for the young children, or better yet, you can always get a packet of tea for your UT set.
Yan-tan tetherer, let's drive needles, cast on now, then off we'll go. For a cap or a stocking or a seaman's jersey, we'll be first to the end of the road.
Thomas Gill from our street calls, and he buys our finished garments then. He sells fresh yarn for us to use till next month he comes back again. The miners walking to the mine all knit stockings to pass the time, and at every door you can bet for sure their wives are sitting knitting more.
Yan-tan tetherer, let's drive needles, cast on now, then off we'll go. For a cap or a stocking or a seaman's jersey, we'll be first to the end of the road.
Richmond is our knitting centre, Kendal likewise in the west. Our seamen's caps go off to Holland, Swaledale woolens are the best. Young or old, there's no divide, in our knitting we take pride. With our wires held tight, we can knit all night, and sing and strive to our heart's delight.
Yan-tan tetherer, let's drive needles, cast on now, then off we'll go. For a cap or a stocking or a seaman's jersey, we'll be first to the end of the road. Yan-tan tetherer, let's drive needles, cast on now, then off we go. For a cap or a stocking or a seaman's jersey, we'll be first to the end of the road.
A man of the Swale, he lived by its side 169 years. When he died, all the stories he'd witnessed he gladly would tell. Now old Henry Jenkins is a legend as well. In the year 1500 in Bolton-on-Swale was born Henry Jenkins, and so was this tale of a man who would live under 8 kings and queens, through stirring events and remarkable scenes. He rode to Northallerton when 12 years old, with arrows for the king's army. Then on the road they were marching to Flodden to make history, but young Henry Jenkins had his own destiny.
A man of the Swale, he lived by its side 169 years. When he died,
he often would see Marmaduke Bradley, who called frequently at the castle of Hornby, Lord Conyers' abode, where Jenkins was butler before he grew old. But fountains, like all abbeys, soon was to close in the dissolution, as everyone knows. But Jenkins went on catching fish in the Swale, while Mary was a prisoner in Wensleydale.
A man of the Swale, he lived by his side 169 years. When he died, all the stories he witnessed he gladly would tell. Now old Henry Jenkins is a legend as well.
Now Raleigh and Drake and the Armada had gone, and good Queen Bess died, but old Jenkins lived on. With his hearing and eyesight as keen as before, he drew the attention of men of the law. They'd often make use of his clear memory, and judges relied on his testimony. In matters of dispute or a feud to contest, they'd just ask old Jenkins, for Jenkins knew best.
A man of the Swale, he lived by his side 169 years. When he died, all the stories he witnessed he gladly would tell. Now old Henry Jenkins is a legend as well.
A lawyer one day came from York to his home, and he found an old man in the garden alone. When he asked for his views on a case long before, he said, "You'd best ask me father, he's bound to know more." So he went in the kitchen where an older man sat. Says he couldn't remember a thing such as that, but his father out back would be certain to tell. Then in came old Jenkins saying, "I know it well."
A man of the Swale, he lived by his side 169 years. When he died, all the stories he witnessed he gladly would tell. Now old Henry Jenkins is a legend as well.
Both Roundheads and Cavaliers rode past his door. He outlived Lord Cromwell and the dread Civil War, and he still fished the Swale and still made his own flies. But sooner or later, though, every man dies. On the 9th of December 1670, old Jenkins passed on in his sleep peacefully. His body is buried at Bolton on Swale. He died a poor man, but he left us this tale.
A man of the Swale, he lived by its side 169 years. When he died, all the stories he witnessed he gladly would tell. Now old Henry Jenkins is a legend as well. A man of the Swale, he lived by its side 169 years. When he died, all the stories he witnessed he gladly would tell. Now old Henry Jenkins is a legend as well.
In Rokeby Wood near the River Tees there roamed a famous pig. No herdsman there could tame the beast because she was so big. Though many tried, they all did fail, her strength was just too great. I'll sing about the Rokeby Sow and how she met her fate.
Sir Ralph of Rokeby liked to joke and had a fancy plan. The friars of Richmond, so he'd heard, were very fond of ham. He said that they could have the sow with not a thing to pay, and all the friars had to do was take the sow away. 'Twas the finest pig you ever saw in the whole of the North East, and all agreed that the Rokeby sow would make a handsome piece. The Grey Friars of Richmond then were very pleased indeed. Friar Middleton and 2 companions set off at great speed, and on the way their thoughts did stray to bacon, ham and lard. But first they had to catch the beast, which might prove rather hard.
When they found her lying 'neath the tree, their worries then increased. She'd curving tusks, black beady eyes, a grim and frightening beast. The moment that she saw the 3, the sow did slowly rise. She bowed her head and scraped the earth. She had her own surprise. 'Twas the finest pig you ever saw in the whole of the North East, and all agreed that the Rokeby sow would make a handsome beast. Although the friars at last did get a noose around her head, and pulled and tugged with all their might, the sow would not be led. And then one friar remembered what St. Cuthbert once had done. He crossed himself and began to read from the Gospel of St. John. Unhappily the sow would not respond to Latin text. She writhed and squealed and tossed and charged, and even more was vexed. At last the friars released their grip, they clearly failed the test, and the sow remained in Rokeby Wood and enjoyed a well-earned rest. 'Twas the finest pig you ever saw in the whole of the North East, and all agreed that the Rokeby sow would make a handsome piece. The next day back at Richmond they described what they had lost, but the friars said they would have their ham no matter what the cost. They undertook to hire the skills of 2 most famous men, Gilbert Griffiths and a Spaniard who had fought the Saracen. These champions then set forth and tracked the sow back to its lair. They set about the mighty pig and slew her then and there. They bore her back to the friary where all did celebrate. Te Deum filled the dining hall, and bacon filled their plate. 'Twas the finest pig you ever saw in the whole of the North East, and all agreed that the Rokeby sow did make a handsome piece. 'Twas the finest pig you ever saw in the whole of the North East, and all agreed that the Rokeby sow did make a handsome feast.
Say, I bring you all the news today. Come heed my ring, God save the King and the Lord of the Manor.
I'm Stubbs, the bellman of renown. I walk the streets of Richmond town. My job's to carry the word around for anyone who pay me. Beneath the town clock in Trinity Square I live, just leave your message there. For 6pence I'll go everywhere and convey your information.
Oh yea, hear what I say. I bring you all the news today. Come heed my ring. ring. God save the King and the Lord of the manor.
Though not too tall and not too fat, I'm really something to look at in my cloak and cape and three-cornered hat supplied by the corporation. Before I speak, I ring my bell to draw a crowd to heed full well the great importance of what I tell in my voice so clear and mighty.
Oh yea, hear what I say. I bring you all the news today. Come heed my ring. God save the King and the Lord of the manor.
In Robert Foster's Wellington Inn I pass the time before I begin. It's more congenial than life in my quarters in the belfry. Fresh herrings just arrived today, on sale outside the King's Head I say. So off you go there right away before they've all been taken.
Oh yea, hear what I say. I bring you all the news today. Come heed my ring. God save the King and the Lord of the manor.
If you have something you have lost, I'll spread the word at little cost. In rain or sleet or wind or frost, I'll ring my bell quite gladly. I'm Stubbs, the bellman of renown. I walk the streets of Richmond town. My job's to carry the word around for anyone who pay me.
Oh yea, hear what I say. I bring you all the news today. Come heed my ring. God save the King and the Lord of the manor. Come heed my ring. God save the King and the Lord of the manor.
Adam Barker broke the law when his daughter Anne died. He buried her in linen and he buried her with pride. The law said that bodies in wool should be laid. The law was brought in to support the woolen trade. But tradition in Swaledale dies hard. Tradition in Swaledale dies hard. Ralph Elliot of Hilo knew he'd broken the ban. For pieces of silver he informed against the man. But linen was always the way of the Dale, and in linen Adam carried her down to the swale. For tradition in Swaledale dies hard. Tradition in Swaledale dies hard. At Level House he lived up by the old gang mine. He was a mine director and faithful spite of the law. For tradition in Swaledale dies hard. Tradition in Swaledale dies hard. On the 2nd of May in 1692, John Hutton signed the warrant, saying what he'd have to do. £5 he must pay, giving half to the poor, and half to Ralph Elliot, a traitor for sure. But tradition in Swaledale dies hard. 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 Adam Barker broke the law when his daughter Anne died. He buried her in linen, and he buried her with pride. The law said that bodies in wool should be laid. The law was brought in to support the woolen trade. But tradition in Swaledale dies hard. Tradition in Swaledale dies hard.
Twilight on the moor, setting sun is getting lower. Another day has come and gone. Out on the land with a shotgun in his hand, the gamekeeper's night has just begun. Though he's working for a lord, he barely can afford the price of a pint or two of ale. And to supplement his pay, he spends some time every day breeding ferrets which he offers up for sale. With his traps and guns and snares, he will seek out foxes' lairs and the warrens where the rabbits always lurk. And his pair of trusty hounds, whose devotion knows no bounds. Yes, it's all part of the gamekeeper's work. He spends most of the year torn between a pride and fear, keeping birds alive for other men to kill. But it's a job that must be done, so the Lord can have his fun, and the restaurants in London have their fill. With his traps and guns and snares, he will seek out foxes' lairs and the warrens where the rabbits always lurk. And his pair of trusty hounds, whose devotion knows no bounds. Yes, it's all part of the gamekeeper's work. And when the seasons come, then his work is almost done, but the parting from his birds can still bring pain. And he sadly counts them all, as one by one they fall, knowing soon he'll have to start over again. With his traps and guns and snares, he will seek out foxes' lairs and the warrens where the rabbits always lurk. And his pair of trusty hounds, whose devotion knows no bounds. Yes, it's all part of the gamekeeper's work.
and when the season's o'er, then the Lord can shoot no more, but the poachers still are lurking in the night. And if there's more than 2 or 3, he keeps back quietly, for he knows that it's a waste of time to fight. With his traps and guns and snares, he will seek out foxes' lairs and the warrens where the rabbits always lurk. And his pair of trusty hounds, whose devotion knows no bounds, yes, it's all part of the gamekeeper's work. Still his duties he'll not shirk, for he really loves his work. It's a better job than many he could name. He's a man who loves the land and the ways of nature's hand. He's a countryman and always will remain. With his traps and guns and snares, he will seek out foxes' lairs and the warrens where the rabbits always lurk. And his pair of trusty hounds, whose devotion knows no bounds, yes, it's all part of the gamekeeper's work. Yes, it's all part of the gamekeeper's work.
Semerwater rise and Semerwater sink, and cover all save this little house that gave me meat and drink. Semerwater rise and Semerwater sink, and cover all save this little house that gave me meat and drink. An angel of the Lord one day, in the guise of an old man, was travelling through Wensleydale, that's how it all began. As day grew on, he reached a town by Semerwater shore, a town of life and laughter, but soon to be no more. Semerwater rise and Semerwater sink, and cover all save this little house that gave me meat and drink. He went knocking at every door, begging for some bread and a place to rest in comfort for the night that lay ahead. But every house said just the same, there is no food for you. If only they had known then what the old man could do. Semerwater rise and Semerwater sink, and cover all save this little house that gave me meat and drink. The last house up the hillside was a dwelling old and poor. They gladly shared their supper and they offered even more. Next morning when the man stepped out from a warm and cosy bed, he raised his hand in anger and this is what he said. Semerwater rise and Semerwater sink, and cover all save this little house that gave me meat and drink. Then darkness fell upon the town, the lake began to rise. It swallowed all the houses and covered all their eyes. When the sun rose in the morning, the town was gone for good, all save the little cottage where the old man found his food. Semerwater rise and Semerwater sink, and cover all save this little house that gave me meat and drink. Semerwater rise and Semerwater sink, and cover all save this little house that gave me meat and drink. Take a walk up the hill, along Gunnerside Gill. Every step takes you back in time. See the hushes and the mills and the levels there still, and remember the life of the lead mine.
Oh, it's 3 long miles to the blind Gill level, but in all wild weathers we made it. We got soaked in the rain and got soaked once again, as down in the pit we waded. I remember lifting buckets full of water from the ground over half of a shift and more, and the water never stopped dripping on us from up top, and the mud never dried on the floor. Take a walk up the hill, along Gunnerside Gill. Every step takes you back in time.
See the hushers and the mills and the levels there still, and remember the life of the lead mine.
I can still smell the fumes from the old gunpowder and the smell of the damp foul air. Candle smoke and sweat are not easy to forget when they follow you round everywhere. And if it wasn't for the little piece of land we worked for food, we'd barely a living wage. And consumption took its toll on many a poor soul who died at an early age. Take a walk up the hill along Gunnerside Gill. Every step takes you back in time. See the hushers and the mills and the levels there still, and remember the life of the lead mine. Silver Hill and Dolly and Sir Francis Level, Harriet, Priscilla and Blind Gill. Memories of the past in these names will ever last, like the lead in the mines you can find still. Now the mines are covered over and the grass is growing high, and there's picnics on a summer Sunday, and the children play and shout as they sing and run about. Perhaps they'll read about us one day. Take a walk up the hill along Gunnerside Gill. Every step takes you back in time. See the hushers and the mills and the levels there still, and remember the